Boros, the central antagonist in the near end of One Punch Man's first season. Known for being the leader of the Dark Matter Thieves in the Alien Conquerors arc, Boros was built up to be made this all-powerful, all-imposing final boss. I feel like when he was first shown near the end of the first season, we as watchers and readers knew he was different. Everything from his calm yet dominant demeanor and his exotic extraterrestrial character design gave us that cold aura that he displays. His character is particularly notable for not only just challenging Saitama, but in a way being a mirror reflecting back Saitama's desire. What do I mean by this? Where did this alien come from? What was the purpose of his role in the story, and what set him apart from past villains that we have encountered? In today's video, I will be analyzing the tragic character of One Punch Man's story, Boros. But before we do move on to this character analyzation, I will warn you that there will be spoilers for the entirety of One Punch Man's story across all media, that meaning the manga, the anime, and even the webcomic, so proceed with caution. Anyways, when the alien invaders known as the Dark Matter Thieves arrived on Earth in their huge, gigantic spaceship that is not only armed with artillery shells capable of destroying an entire city, but is also powered by a core in the very throne room where Boros resides. This power core seems to be connected with Boros in some kind of way. We know this because when Boros was killed by Saitama, the power core began to break down, and this in turn made the spaceship start falling and presumably shutting down all energy in the ship. It could be that the power core is linked to Boros' life, although it could be argued that the power core is dependent on his energy overall. For example, let's say he just got really tired in his fight with Saitama to the point of exhaustion, where he could no longer run, but he was still very well alive. Would the ship still be afloat, or would it start losing power and start shutting down? Or could it be both? Boros has what seems like an entire army of aliens, mostly fodder, but there are 3 subordinates that stand out and that Boros acknowledges as his top combatants. These 3 aliens are Melzargard, Guriagenshup, and Groribas, all capable fighters that give even S-class heroes trouble. It's unknown how Boros even formed his crew and managed to even get all of these various alien species on his side. And I'm very intrigued to know how he was able to get so many different types of species on board with this quest to fulfill his prophecy. It's possible that he would go galaxy to galaxy or maybe even planet to planet, conquering and using his intimidating presence and power was just enough to get aliens to join him. Or maybe he persuaded them with a promise of fortune and power. I think a bonus chapter of Boros recruiting his subordinates or even acquiring his titanic, menacing spaceship would be cool to see. Speaking about his spaceship, it is massive, definitely intimidating to all of those that had to impose his wrath from down below. I wonder if the aircraft was built, salvaged, or even stolen by Boros, seeing how his Dark Matter Thieves go around conquering, planet to planet. But either way, it's really cool looking at this ship, and I definitely think it's up there with even all of fiction. Saitama ends up intruding Boros' spaceship, where he starts wreaking havoc and killing anything in his way, including Boros' top subordinates, Guriagenshup and Groribas. This is where Boros displays his arrogant and prideful personality, as well as being callous and indifferent to the destruction that he caused to a city. And not only that, but the loss of his crew in his conversation and fight with Saitama. And in that greeting and exchange of names with Saitama when he arrived, he showed his increasing amounts of respect for Saitama, even in their fight. This is because for Boros, he has an insatiable desire for combat, seeking opponents who can match his overwhelming strength. This aspect sets him apart from many other villains in the series, as he is not driven by a conventional desire for world domination, but rather a deep-seated craving for a worthy adversary. Very similar to that very complex and inner struggles of our own protagonist, Saitama. Boros' character also introduces themes of existentialism and the pursuit of meaning through struggle, because at One Punch Man's very core, Desire is not just what causes the many problems and struggles that humanity faces, but it is what makes humanity thrive. Boros' relentless pursuit of a worthy opponent reflects a desire for purpose and fulfillment. But like I said before, this is what will lead to his tragic downfall at the fists of Saitama. Boros is what Saitama could have been if he had chased this obsessive itch for excitement. Saitama knows this himself. In fact, I think it's the sole reason why Saitama even chose to make the fight drag on as long as it did, just so he can make it a bit more exciting for Boros. He could have used one punch to really end it all right then and there from when they started their conversation, and he could have made it seem that Boros was never a challenge to begin with. Saitama remarks and replies to Boros when he decides to use an attack, in a way giving him a false sense of hope in which Boros truly thinks that this is a real battle that he has been waiting decades for. Of course, this inevitably was never a real battle from the start, and Boros of course finds this out after his defeat, when he compliments Saitama for the splendid battle in which they both fought hard to the end, in which Saitama simply agrees. Boros then says Saitama is lying, and that he had strength to spare, stating that the prophecy he had gambled on was unreliable, as Saitama is too powerful. Boros seemed to be at peace with his imminent death, discounting the prophecy but still somewhat satisfied with his fight with Saitama. But this is why I call Boros' character a tragedy, as his purpose in the story was not only to showcase Saitama's might, but to serve us as a reminder of the isolation and emptiness that can accompany immense power when there are no worthy challenges. And that obsession and chasing of our deepest desire can drive us to a dark place where despair meets us. Thankfully, our protagonist didn't take that same route that Boros took, because that would have been quite scary. I can only imagine Saitama just hopping from planet to planet, destroying everything in his way until he gets a fulfilling fight. During Saitama's battle with Boros, we are shown his magnificent power and abilities, with immense strength being able to knock Saitama through several pillars of his ship with only a single punch, with the alien's various strikes easily damaging the place. He was also capable of blasting through the outer hull of his spaceship with apparent ease, the same hull that was durable enough to even withstand the immense impact caused by Saitama leaping on it all the way from the moon, with the jump being powerful enough to leave a massively huge crater on the natural satellite. Boros also possessed incredible speed and agility, as he was able to keep up with a suppressed Saitama. He used his latent energy shunted from his body as a means of propulsion, making him incredibly fast even at high speeds. He was very agile, even being able to sneak up and attack Saitama from behind. Of course, but arguably his most impressive ability is his durability. Boros was shown to be amazingly resilient, to the point of being the first on-screen opponent of Saitama to survive after being hit directly by his normal punch, and then proceeding to survive multiple punches, and even crazily being able to speak after taking the full force shockwave of Saitama's serious punch. A lot of his durability comes from his ability to regenerate at incredible rates. Boros states that his species developed the greatest regenerative ability in the entire universe to adapt to living on their home planet, which had very harsh climates. He also states that he himself surpassed all others of his race at regeneration. He said this all while he regrows his arm in just seconds, just by concentrating his energy on it. However, Boros' regeneration ability has a limit, as it was shown in the end, as he was unable to recover from the serious punch. Boros' ultimate attack is the collapsing star roaring cannon. Eager to end the fight with Saitama, this powerful energy beam is used as a trump card by Boros to completely annihilate Saitama and, debatably, the planet itself. Speaking of energy beams and powerful attacks, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Boros' overall design is very similar to that of a Dragon Ball character, or characters, specifically the Saiyans. Boros, with spiky long hair and bangs, it definitely reminds you of a Dragon Ball Z character. Perhaps this was intended to sort of make a parody or a mock of your typical shonen anime character, but you know, he doesn't completely look exactly like Goku or anything. He still has an amazing, unique look to him. Boros is an evil alien conqueror, and that was very clear when we were first shown and saw him on screen. In his base form with his armor that has spikes on his shoulders and forearms, a pair of matching curved boots, and dark purple stripes on his face. These stripes become a lot more prominent as he evolves, by the way. He also had a red orb on his chest with purple markings on his stomach and arms. He wore a pair of white harem pants held by a magenta colored sash with silver lined purple blades hanging from it. And this is probably my favorite look for Boros. You know, his second, because as we know, he has 2 more transformations, but this look, there's just something about it. It gives this almost exotic feeling, that very extraterrestrial, very evil type of look to him. But anyways, the similarities don't just end there, because Boros has 2 more transformations that can be compared to the Super Saiyan forms. After Saitama destroyed his armor, Boros' appearance changed into his first transformation, where we see his muscle mass increase and his body grows spiky plates, and his spine and the surrounding tissue become exposed, while his skin changed to this dark navy blue color with light blue markings that emitted what can be presumed to be energy all along his body. He was shown with an additional eye under his chest, which moved in sync with his original eye. His hair also completely spikes up, becoming slightly darker in color. In his second transformation, known as the meteoric burst form, his appearance changed drastically. His hair grew very long, reaching his back. His eyes become completely white, though at times a black pupil becoming visible, and his body got engulfed in white energy, while his striped markings returned to their original dark blue color. And in true Dragon Ball / anime shonen fashion, he becomes a lot more stronger as he transforms. He starts to use different types of abilities and of course attacks that I've already talked to you about. So let's backtrack a bit and talk about Boros' home planet and race, as he is an alien who wasn't born on Earth. He was born on a mysterious, unnamed planet that he mentioned to Saitama. Of course, this planet most likely has a name, but Boros just never said it. But we may find out in the future, because as we know, Boros isn't the only one of his kind out there. We have seen another one of his type that bears a strong resemblance to Boros, and that was with Blast and his companion crew. Although we haven't seen very much of him except for like his silhouette and maybe a couple lines here and there really isn't much that we know about this Boros species character. Hopefully he brings out about more lore and story about his species, because it seems that Boros' race and the planet where he comes from is capable of producing powerful warriors and fighters. Perhaps a planet that is ruled by a king, or maybe even separated by clans. But it's really fun to try to figure out because of how unique and mysterious Boros is as a whole. Is all of Boros' species violent and hostile, battle-loving warriors? Or was he just an outcast compared to the rest of his race? Or, as far as we know, the one with Blast seems to be a good guy, unless he is an outcast of Boros' race in terms of being a non-conquering, battle-lusted being. I've always wondered what Boros' home planet really looks like, because when we were shown it in both the anime and the manga, it was depicted to be this dark volcanic and fiery, hellish landscape. But does the rest of the planet really look like this? Perhaps this was just one of the multiple harsh biomes on this planet. Maybe there is a cold frozen snow dune, or a lush forest with exotic plants and large trees and greenery. But if not, is it really just one big volcanic planet with who knows what kind of creatures inhabiting it? Because seeing as it's a really tough planet to live on, maybe all the life forms and animals that are living there are strong, maybe even stronger than most monsters we have seen on Earth. But hopefully we'll find out soon. Boros transcends the typical motivations of destruction associated with many of the villains in One Punch Man, and is used in the story to tragically present the many similarities he shares with Saitama's desire, and beautifully parallels the dream fight that Saitama had against the Subterraneans. All of this further highlights how Boros can relate to Saitama's existential crisis and felt the exhilaration of a real fight, like Saitama in his dream. Boros isn't contributing to not only the action and excitement of One Punch Man, but also providing philosophical undertones that deepen the narrative. And besides him being a one and done character, he really propelled the popularity of One Punch Man and continues to do so. If you guys enjoyed the video and character analysis of Boros, probably one of I'd say he's like my third favorite character in the series, you know, right up there with, of course, Boros and, or not Boros, but Genos and Garo. There's just something cool about Boros. It's just this unique swagger, this huge, intimidating, like everything about him just seems really cool, to be honest with you. But if you did enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe for more One Punch Man content, as I will be putting One Punch Man content until Season 3 comes out, and even after Season 3 comes out, with hopefully some reactions to the episodes if the anime ever comes out. But anyways, guys, I will be seeing you in the next one. See ya.